I guess you could say we are in the dog days of summer. It has been very hot here in Alabama. Temperatures have been in the 90s and sometimes even the hundreds with 100% humidity, which honestly makes it hard to want to work out in the garden. When it's this hot, it's hard to get motivated. However, the thought of getting the garden ready for fall is very exciting. I just spent my Saturday in the garden harvesting the last of our summer crops, which were pink-eyed purple hull peas and cucumbers. I pulled up the rest of the okra, and I got some more sweet potato slips in the ground, which some of those have been planted probably too late, but that's okay. We'll see how that turns out. It took longer to get everything done because it kept raining and lightning on and off, but it did keep things a little cooler, so that was a nice change. So this is the first time that I have ever planted pink-eyed purple hull peas. I had to go ahead and pick them so we could start preparing the garden for the fall. So we only got one picking from them. Also, these gloves are just cracking me up. There were so many bugs on the peas that I just had to have some gloves on. So I borrowed these from my grandmama because as soon as you touched the bugs, which I think were aphids, they would smush all over your hands. So I had to work with what I had. I definitely need some garden gloves, and I'm not sure why I don't already have some. Anyways, I really enjoyed growing these, but I know what I'll do differently next time. We planted them way too close together, so I think that's why we did not get a lot like I thought I would. Next time I'll plant them about 3 to 6 inches apart because they are a bush pea. We just threw the seed on the ground and did not take into account the spacing. Also, the bugs were just getting to the point of taking over, so I did try one method that I saw online where you spray with Dawn soap and water and kill the aphids, but it definitely did not work. Maybe I didn't mix enough soap with the water. I don't know. And then there were some really weird spiky white bugs that I have never seen before, and those were kind of creepy. I went ahead and washed them outside to get the majority of the bugs off, and then again when I went inside before shelling them. So it was best that we just went ahead and picked what we could, and then Steven pulled up the plants afterwards to get everything ready for our fall garden. We do not spray any type of pesticides on our vegetables and fruit trees, so I try to find more natural ways to take care of the bugs, but if it doesn't work, that's fine. I do plant a lot, so that way we have enough for us. Next, I harvested cucumbers, which I was surprised to find these because the stink bugs started to take over, and honestly, I just kind of gave up on them because stink bugs are the one bug that I despise. So I went ahead and picked those before cutting them down, and I picked a nice little harvest, so that was a plus because I wasn't expecting to have any. After picking everything, I started to go ahead and get the garden somewhat cleaned up. I pulled up the rest of the okra. One of the okra plants was over 7 feet tall, probably closer to 8 foot, and it was like pulling little trees out of the ground. We did have a lot of fire ants around our okra, and I believe I heard from Haas Tools that if you have an ant problem, it's because you have a nematode problem in the soil. I probably need to do more research on that. I'm not a fan of okra, but I did enjoy growing it. We mostly grew it because my grandmama really likes okra. So if I grow it again, I will grow a different variety, and I will prune the okra plant because of how wide they got. After that, I went ahead and chopped down the vines to the lima beans and the cucumbers so that the vines could go ahead and start dying, and then we could just pull those off of the panels and get that cleaned up, which Steven so kindly did for me, and I really appreciate it because that was pretty difficult. I went ahead and pulled up the wooden stakes in the tomato cages, but I couldn't get the tomato cages up because Steven had tied those with wire, and I could not get those undone, so he did that for me later on. So I just did what I could there. I also checked on our butternut squash and was surprised to see a few squash on there. One was a pretty nice size, but I think we may have planted these a little late, so I'll keep you updated on how those turn out. Another thing that I had to get done was planting peppers that my Uncle Stanley had brought down for us. So I cleaned out the pots and added more potting soil. And then I added some fertilizer. I believe it was 10-10-10. That's all I had at the moment, so that's what I used. I dug a hole deeper than what I normally would, and then I put the fertilizer in and then covered it with some soil, and then planted the peppers on top of that soil, and then, put the soil around the peppers. I am not a huge fan of hot peppers, so it will be neat to try to incorporate this into some of the things we eat. My dad always taught me to clean up your tools and get the dirt off of them before you put them back up, instead of leaving them outside, which would be much easier to do, especially after a long day, but when you take care of your stuff, it will last longer. So after getting the peppers planted, I cleaned up the tools, put the fertilizer back on the porch, and threw away some trash. We ended our day with some shopping and then going out to eat to Steak and Shake, which was a treat. Lincoln and Joanna sure did enjoy it, so I'll end it here. And as always, thanks for watching. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more. See you next time.